Okay, so we're going to get rocking and rolling. The folks that there's one or two that perhaps have not met. So my name is Nicole Kittredge. It's a pleasure to have you here on this webinar today on this cool crisp fall day. I'm actually chilly and I have a little heater here. It certainly feels like fall after the warm few days we had. But anyways, today we're here to talk about mass housing and the wonderful MassDREAMS grant. So let me get my screen shared with you so we can dive right in. Perfect. Thumbs up if you see everything good.
It's on my phone. It's tiny.
Tiny. Okay, at least it's there. So I've been helping clients with mortgages and banking, actually, banking and finance for about 20 years. This presentation today is one of my favorite parts of the job because it allows people with not a lot of money to have options to buy a home. And in the past few years, that has been really difficult, not because of anything we're doing or mass housing is doing, but because it was very much a seller's market. So we're seeing some change, hopefully for the positive for buyers, with being able to have flexible lending options get accepted and be able to purchase a home. On this first screen is a flyer that was actually created a few years ago about the down payment assistance program that is very much still active with mass housing. If someone can't qualify for the MassDREAMS grant, we can definitely look at this down payment assistance program, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay. I just have to figure out here we go, how to move my screen. Thank you for your patience there. Okay. So what is mass housing? You may not know, but they're kind of a quasi-public company that was started in 1966. Their job is to help with affordable housing. So they help home owners, home buyers, and builders. There's someone, if you don't mind muting yourself. I'm going to see if I can mute all here.
Thank you.
To eliminate some of the background noise.
Use the right lane to keep right.
Sorry, technical difficulties, folks. If you are, please able to mute yourselves.
Use the.
Here we go. Okay. So mass housing does do a great job of helping low and moderate income folks get into home ownership. And for the MassDREAMS grant, it is my understanding, I was told by a mass housing rep, they were assigned $65 million for this grant, and once it's gone, it's gone. Mass housing uses companies like myself, Envoy Mortgage, direct lenders to actually underwrite loans and send the money, and they service the loans on the back end. So how does it help home buyers? Obviously, we talked about the low and no down payment options. That's the #1 reason we're here today. But just some other interesting statistics I wanted to share. So 54% of people think they can't afford a home. And with how high rent is these days, there's really opportunities to potentially get into a great starter home or even a condo for less than rent. I have seen that over and over in my career. 25% don't know where to start. 29% think it's difficult. 32% think their credit scores are too low, and 39% think they need over 20% down. Hopefully with this presentation today, we can kind of change that misnomer. One of my biggest pet peeves. I've talked about all these bullets a little more on first-time buyer webinars, which are posted on my YouTube channel. You are certainly welcome to check out. Another benefit to buyers with mass housing is the mortgage insurance unemployment benefit. So once you make 6 months payments with mass housing, if you were to become unemployed for the first 10 years of the mortgage, they'll actually cover 6 mortgage payments for you. So that's kind of a little known fact I'd like to share. Mass housing has a wide variety of options, and there's really, it would be very difficult to cover all of them in one webinar. So my goal today is to get you nuggets of information, and just know that I'm here to kind of walk you through everything. Ooh, I was able to mute everyone. I'm here to walk you through the programs for your particular needs or your client's particular needs. It's really, again, difficult to cover everything in it that's available with Mass Housing, because just on this slide, you can see we have down payment assistance, workforce advantage, FHA, conventional. They actually offer veterans benefits. The two big things I want to talk about on this slide are the minimum credit score requirements, which were recently reduced. So Mass Housing used to be a 660 to 680 program across the board, and now it's down to 640, which is a really nice reduction, which allows more people to qualify for the program. So minimum 640 credit scores, and an education course is required for all the programs. The first-time buyer course is really easy. I sent some clients one last week, and within an hour, they sent me the completed course. The landlord education is a little more in depth, but I've had clients get through it, no problem at all. So let's dive into the MassDREAMS. This program, the biggest misnomer is about where people live. So to qualify for the MassDREAMS grant, you have to currently reside in one of the disproportionately impacted communities. So it's not where the house is that you're buying, it's where the applicant actually lives right now. So the communities are listed here. I can get you a list. It's on the Mass Housing website. Some other information that's important to know, it's a first-time buyer program only. It's for primary residents only. And the grants are up to $35,000 and up to $50,000, depending upon your income level. What I'm finding with my clients that I have in process is there's actually a challenge in using all of the grant funds available, because they're giving you up to 5% down payment and the rest to cover closing costs, escrows, and prepaid items, and even buying down points or using it to do a one-time mortgage insurance premium to eliminate PMI from the payment. We're not getting close to the grant funds of that amount. So good news is it's available, and I am getting clients into the program and qualified, which is great. Nice to see some actual progress going on with the program. They are sending a lot of notifications, Mass Housing. I feel like every other day we get one where they're changing things up, because this is a brand new program. They're trying to figure it out as they go too. It rolled out in October. So you'll see on this slide, the MassDREAMS grant program and income limits. This is a ton of information, and this is why we're here, mortgage professionals, to walk you through it. But on the left is a column of 100% area median income, and on the right is 135%. If your income is on the left, you get up to the 50,000. If it's on the right, you get up to the 35,000. And again, you have to currently reside in a disproportionately impacted community and apply for the certificate. So step one for someone that lives in one of those towns is going to be to go to this website, fill out a certificate. If it comes back that you may be eligible for the MassDREAMS grant, you would reach out to someone like myself to get pre-approved. And the way it works is we pre-approve clients for any of the Mass Housing programs. So I have my guide here. It's many pages long, and I look at the different programs, the different income levels, the particulars of the client, and see which Mass Housing program can we slide them into. So on the next slide, this is another one of those, that's a lot of information here. That's what I'm here to help people with. But this is the first-time home buyer income limits. It's actually lower than the MassDREAMS grant. This is a very common and popular program that clients, if we're able to fit them into, we want to go this direction because it helps get better rates. You'll notice Worcester County income limit is 101,200. Middlesex County is 113,300. So on the MassDREAMS grant, 2 slides back, it's actually quite higher for getting up to the 35 and 50,000. So even though they fit into the MassDREAMS grant, they also have to fit into one of the Mass Housing programs income limits as well. I have the next 3 slides are different programs just to show you behind the scenes what we're doing as mortgage professionals. So this is a standard, the income limits are lower. The next is more Workforce Advantage, which is a phenomenal program, definitely hard to qualify for because it's really low income, but it's a no PMI, it's one of the more competitive interest rate options. And I do realize I'm going a little fast, but before we move on, I just want to cover a little bit about the Workforce Advantage. You may have heard a program where they're giving 10% of a home's purchase, and that does exist, but it's not the grant. This is a down payment assistance where you're getting a first mortgage and a second mortgage. It's also for folks in the gateway cities, which are those 26 towns, and you're getting 10% of the home's purchase price or $30,000. So it doesn't go over the $30,000 for that down payment assistance. So is anyone confused yet? Okay, some things to think about. The acquisition cost limits. So let's say we have you qualified for a mass housing program. Let's just assume it's in Worcester County. There's something that pops up that can be a hurdle for some folks, and that's the acquisition limit. And that means that the sale price cannot go over the limit assigned for that particular county. On the right, it's kind of small, but I have that first time buyer program. You'll notice in Worcester County at the bottom, the acquisition limit is only $346,000. So that means someone can't purchase a property higher than that. So if you have someone who qualifies for MassDREAMS and maybe they have two applicants and together they can qualify for a $600,000 property, they're going to be capped in Worcester County at spending no more than $346,000 on a property. Middlesex County is certainly higher. Middlesex, Norfolk County, $688,561. So a big difference for the realtors on here. You may know FHA, which is a government loan, lower in Worcester County, higher in Middlesex and Norfolk counties, for example. Mass housing is similar in that way. There are income limits. So we've hopefully made it clear that many of the mass housing programs, there's really only one that's not looking at, or actually all of them now have income limits in place. We have to look at those charts and see where are folks falling, and that directs which program they're going to qualify for. On the bottom, it says other DPA is down payment assistance via second mortgage. So back on the very first slide, that was a flyer that basically said, don't have enough for a down payment, maybe mass housing can help. And that is true. You can get essentially a no down program, but the standard down payment assistance is a loan. So it's a mortgage, where the grant itself, the MassDREAMS grant for eligible folks, is phenomenal because it's completely forgivable. They can literally purchase the home, close, sell the very next month, and not have to pay the funds they get for the grant for the up to $35,000 or the up to $50,000. So down payment assistance is a repayable loan. The grants are free. So which loan should a buyer choose? I think we've definitely exhibited through those slides that it really depends on a wide variety of factors. For the mass housing program, certainly income is a factor. Excuse me, credit score. So let's say someone's at 620 or 630. There's ways we can work together to try to get them up over the 640 so they get mass housing. Or maybe on the next slide, you'll see here, we have a wide variety of programs outside of mass housing. So mass housing has a great group of programs, but we also have conventional, FHA, USDA, jumbo, and so forth. So my job is to walk clients through where they are now, where they'd like to be. Are there any changes that need to happen to get them to be able to qualify? And can we slide them into something now? Back at the beginning of the presentation, we talked about a statistic where most people just don't know if they've qualified. And many times clients, when we first connect, are surprised to find out they can actually qualify right away. I'm sure some of the realtors on this presentation can attest to this, but sometimes people go out in the very first weekend, find a house. So that could be you. You may be sitting here thinking, wow, this sounds kind of neat. Potentially no down payment. I have a little bit saved for inspections and putting deposits down. I don't know if I'd qualify. And you may very well be able to buy your first home and start building that wealth for yourself and your family. So today was a little bit of a fire hose about MassDREAMS program and the grant funds available and the mass housing programs overall. If you feel that I went too fast and you'd like the slides, I can certainly send them to you. We do offer a free home buyer guide. It says first time home buyer guide, but I've had clients that aren't first-time buyers that tell me this is very helpful. So feel free to let me know if you'd like one of those. I can mail one to you and we can actually email it as well. Would anyone like to throw up a hand or unmute themselves and ask a question? I can certainly go back to any of the slides. Yes, go ahead.
I'll unmute myself. Hi, Nicole. So quick question on the Mass grants, the MassDREAM grants. You say that when they go to sell the house, they don't have to pay the 50,000 back or whatever amount they get back.
Exactly.
Do they pay interest on that amount during the time of
It's
the
completely free money, so it's separate from all the Mass programs. So we like the Workforce Advantage. Let's say they get 10% for down payment, they can do that and still get the MassDREAMS grant contributed. So MassDREAMS can be combined with any of these. We don't, as a lender, include it in the combined loan to value. There's no repayment associated with it. The clients don't pay interest on it. It's literally just funds wired from Mass Housing to the closing attorney on closing day towards reducing their down payment and closing costs, escrows and prepaid items. Pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So now, I mean, the biggest issue I have one client who looks like it's going to be eligible up to the 50,000, but their down payment, that 5% we have to contribute from the grant towards their down payment is around 14,000. So that means 50,000 minus 14,000. There's a lot left. We're never going to spend that all on closing costs, escrows, and prepaid items.
No.
And in this case, they don't need mortgage insurance. So we keep with someone with mortgage insurance, we'd be able to do a single premium where we pay that off at closing. So they don't have PMI as a part of their payment. That's a way to use up a chunk of funds, buying points down to reduce the interest rates. But Massachusetts and across the country, there's something called high cost and high priced loans, which it's illegal. And this is not a bad thing, but it's illegal to charge exorbitant fees. And there's limits in place. So we can't just charge 10 points and use all the Mass Housing funds because of those limits in place.
Okay.
Yes. So it's pretty neat. I mean, with 65 million available, I would think this program will go a far way, but Mass Housing reps are working overtime. They're inundated. I'm glad some of my clients are already in and flagged and working with Mass Housing, because at this point they're saying they're probably around a 30-day turn time. So that's going to start impacting commitment dates and closing dates. Yeah. Excuse me. So again, thank you all so much for your time today. I realize it's a lot of information, but I'm here to help and I appreciate you all tuning in very much. Enjoy the rest of the week and feel free to check in a few weeks. I have a great home automation webinar with this amazing girl who's franchising her company called Level Up Your Home. Really cool stuff. All right. Thank you all. Hope you have a great afternoon.